The massive bridge of the U.S. Valiant hummed with quiet activity as Captain Lisa Morrison stood at the main viewport. Her eyes traced the distant stars of the Centauri system, searching for anything unusual in the darkness of space. The supercarrier, humanity's greatest achievement in space warfare technology, moved steadily through the void. At over 3 kilometers long, the Valiant was more like a moving city than a ship. "Status report," Lisa called out, her voice calm but firm. Mary Rodriguez, the communications officer, looked up from her screen. "All systems normal, Captain. Long-range sensors are clear. Just another quiet patrol." Lisa nodded but couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She had spent 15 years in space, and her instincts rarely led her wrong. She walked over to the tactical station where Susan Martinez sat monitoring the defensive systems. "How are our shields holding up?" Lisa asked. "Quantum matrix is at full strength," Susan replied, her fingers moving across the holographic display. "Dr. Patterson's new upgrades are working better than expected." The bridge crew continued their routine checks, the quiet buzz of conversation mixing with the soft beeping of instruments. The Valiant was the first of her kind, a supercarrier designed to show humanity's strength to the stars. So far, they hadn't met any alien life, but Earth's leaders wanted to be ready. Richard Davis spoke up from the navigation station, his voice sharp with sudden concern. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange. Energy readings, coming in fast from Sector 7. Before Lisa could respond, the space in front of the Valiant twisted. 3 ships appeared out of nowhere, their hulls gleaming with a metallic purple sheen that seemed to absorb light. Each was about half the size of the Valiant, but their designs were like nothing human eyes had ever seen. "Battle stations," Lisa ordered, her training kicking in. Red alert klaxons blared throughout the massive ship as crew members rushed to their posts. "Try to establish communication." Mary's fingers flew across her console, broadcasting on all frequencies in standard first contact protocols. She paused, listening intently. "No response, Captain." The alien ships moved with impossible grace, spreading out to surround the Valiant. Their actions spoke louder than words. This wasn't going to be a peaceful first contact. "Shields up," Lisa commanded. "Bring all weapons online, but do not fire unless I give the order. Let's not start an interstellar war if we can help it." The alien vessels suddenly lit up with energy signatures. Linda Turner at the sensor station called out, "They're charging weapons. All hands, brace for impact." Lisa grabbed her command chair as the first shots hit the Valiant's quantum shields. The massive ship shuddered, but held firm. "Shields holding at 92%, Susan reported. "Their weapons are powerful, but Dr. Patterson's matrix is holding." Lisa's mind raced through their options. The Valiant wasn't just a warship. It carried over 5,000 crew members, each with families back on Earth. Their actions here could determine humanity's first impression on the galaxy. "Launch our warning shots," she ordered. "Target their engines, minimal power. Show them we can fight back, but aren't looking to destroy them." The Valiant's forward batteries fired, brilliant beams of energy slicing through space. The alien ships dodged with incredible speed, but one shot clipped the nearest vessel's hull. Instead of backing off, all 3 ships began charging their weapons again. "Well," Lisa said grimly, "I guess we know their answer." She opened the ship-wide comm. "All hands, this is the captain. First contact has gone hostile. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. All sections prepare for combat operations." As the crew rushed to battle stations throughout the massive supercarrier, Lisa Morrison knew this was the moment everything would change. Humanity's first contact with alien life had just turned into humanity's first space battle, and she was determined to make sure it wouldn't be their last. The engineering deck of the U.S. Valiant shook as another blast from the alien ships hit their shields. Chief Engineer Kevin Wright held onto a support beam while checking the quantum matrix readings. Around him, Engineering crew members rushed between stations, working to keep the massive supercarrier systems running at peak efficiency. "Come on, baby, hold together," Kevin muttered as he studied the shield dynamics. Something about the alien weapons was unusual. Each hit should have done more damage, but the quantum matrix was actually getting stronger. He grabbed his comm unit. "Bridge, this is engineering. Captain, you need to see this data." "What have you got, Kevin?" Lisa Morrison's voice came through clearly despite the battle noise. "Their weapons are advanced, maybe more than ours," Kevin explained, "but they're using a fixed energy frequency. Our quantum matrix is actually learning and adapting to their attacks. Dr. Patterson's design is working better than we ever expected." On the bridge, Captain Morrison leaned forward in her chair. "Can we use this?" "Already on it," Kevin replied. He waved over his assistant. "Get Dr. Patterson up here now." Amy Patterson arrived minutes later, her gray hair messy from running through the corridors. She immediately went to Kevin's station and started analyzing the data. "This is incredible," she said, her eyes wide with excitement despite the danger. "The aliens' technology is amazingly advanced, but it's rigid. They're not adjusting their attack patterns even though they're becoming less effective." Another hit rocked the ship. Kevin steadied Dr. Patterson before she could fall. "Can we strengthen the shields even more?" he asked. "Better than that," Amy replied, her fingers flying over the console. "We can tune the matrix to absorb their energy and redirect it, but I'll need help modifying the emitter array." Kevin grabbed his toolkit. "Show me what you need." For the next 10 minutes, as the battle raged around them, Kevin and Amy worked to modify the shield systems. Engineering crews rushed to help, carrying equipment and making adjustments across the massive ship. The Valiant's size, which some had criticized as too large, now proved to be an advantage. They had backup systems and redundancies the aliens couldn't match. "Bridge, we're ready," Kevin called out. "We're routing power now." On the bridge, Susan Martinez watched her tactical display with growing excitement. "Captain, our shield strength is increasing. We're up to 115% normal capacity and climbing." The alien ships continued their attack, but now each hit made the Valiant stronger. The quantum matrix absorbed their energy and fed it back into the shield system, creating a feedback loop that grew more powerful with each blast. "They're not changing tactics," Mary Rodriguez observed from her station. "It's like they don't know how to adapt their strategy." Captain Morrison stood up, watching the alien ships through the main viewport. "Send a message to all hands," she ordered. "We've found their weakness. They might have advanced technology, but they lack human adaptability." Kevin's voice came over the comm again. "Captain, we've got enough stored energy to launch a significant counterattack. The quantum matrix can release it all at once if you want to show them what we can do." Lisa smiled. "Do it." The Valiant shield suddenly pulsed with brilliant light. All the absorbed energy released at once, creating a massive wave that slammed into the alien ships. Their shields flickered and failed, leaving them vulnerable for the first time. "Target their engines," Lisa commanded. "Let's show these aliens that humanity isn't as primitive as they thought." As Kevin watched the energy readings from engineering, he realized something important. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't just their technology, but their ability to understand it, improve it, and use it in ways its creators never imagined. The aliens might have better ships, but the humans had something more valuable: creativity and the will to survive. Commander Daniel Foster stood at the tactical display in the Valiant's Combat Control Center, watching the alien ships regroup after the quantum shield blast. The large holographic display showed their massive supercarrier in the center, with the 3 enemy vessels moving in a perfectly symmetrical pattern around them. "Too perfect," Daniel muttered. He turned to Mary Rodriguez, who had come down from the bridge to work directly with the ship's eye. "Val, what do you make of their formation?" The AI's smooth voice came through the speakers. "The enemy ships maintain exact distances from each other. Their movements follow strict geometric patterns. This suggests programmed battle tactics with little room for variation. Mary nodded as she studied the data flowing across her screen. Val's right. Look at how they recovered from our shield blast. All three ships followed the exact same recovery procedure. Daniel smiled. The aliens' rigid approach was exactly what he needed. Val, can you predict their next 3 moves if they continue following these patterns? Calculating. The AI responded. The holographic display lit up with projected movement lines. 85% probability they will attempt to surround us in a triangular formation to concentrate their fire. Perfect. Daniel opened a channel to the bridge. Captain, I have a plan. But it's going to seem crazy. Those are my favorite kind, Commander. Lisa Morrison replied. What are you thinking? Daniel gestured at the display, even though she couldn't see it. These aliens fight like machines. Every move is calculated, every formation perfect, but that makes them predictable. I say we use the Valiant's size against them. How exactly do we use being a bigger target to our advantage? Lisa asked. By doing something no logical tactical program would expect. Daniel started inputting commands. Val, show the captain what happens if we kill our engines and rotate the ship along its main axis. The holographic display showed the massive supercarrier beginning to spin, slowly at first, then faster. The alien ships' predicted attack patterns suddenly showed confusion, their perfect formation breaking apart as they tried to adjust to this unexpected move. They won't be able to maintain their triangular formation if we're spinning, Daniel explained. Their targeting systems will struggle to lock onto any one part of our ship, and with our quantum shields still at high power. We'll be like a giant armored pinwheel in space. Lisa finished. Val, what do you think? Can we pull this off? Affirmative, the AI responded. I can coordinate with engineering to maintain structural integrity during the rotation. Additionally, this maneuver will allow us to bring all our weapon batteries to bear on each enemy ship in succession. Mary's fingers flew across her console. I can help Val tune our internal gravity to compensate for the spin. The crew will barely feel it. Lisa's voice carried a note of pride. Do it. Let's show these aliens what happens when they underestimate human creativity. The Valiant's engines cut out, and the massive ship began to rotate. As predicted, the alien vessels broke their perfect formation, their weapons fire becoming scattered and ineffective as they tried to track specific targets on the spinning supercarrier. Val, coordinate with all weapon stations, Daniel ordered. Time our shots with the rotation. I want each battery to fire the moment it bears on a target. The results were devastating. As the Valiant spun, it unleashed a continuous stream of fire, each weapon system taking its turn to target the enemy ships. The alien shields, already weakened from the earlier quantum blast, couldn't handle the constant barrage from multiple angles. Enemy vessels attempting to adjust formation, Val reported. Their movements suggest their tactical programs are attempting to compute a counter-strategy. But they can't, Mary said with satisfaction. Because no one would program this kind of maneuver into a battle computer. It's too illogical. Daniel watched as one of the alien ships took a direct hit to its engines. Sometimes the best tactics are the ones that don't make logical sense. That's something we humans learned a long time ago. Lieutenant John Baker ran toward his fighter as warning lights flashed throughout the Valiant's massive hangar bay. Around him, hundreds of pilots rushed to their own ships. The supercarrier's spinning had stopped, giving them their chance to launch. All squadron leaders, report in, John called through his helmet comm as he climbed into his cockpit. One by one, the other squadron commanders checked in. They had drilled for this moment countless times, but never under real combat conditions. Susan Martinez's voice came through from the tactical station on the bridge. Lieutenant Baker, I'm sending you the attack plan now. The enemy ships are still recovering from our spin maneuver. This is our best chance. John looked at the tactical display as it appeared on his fighter's screen. The plan was bold, maybe even crazy. But after seeing how the aliens fought, he knew it could work. "All pilots, check your displays," he ordered. "We're going to launch everything we've got. All fighters, all squadrons, all at once. These aliens think in straight lines and perfect formations. Let's show them some chaos." The hangar bay doors opened along the length of the Valiant. The supercarrier's massive size meant it could launch hundreds of fighters simultaneously from multiple bays. It was a capability they had never used at full capacity until now. "Launch countdown beginning," the ship's AI announced. "All pilots prepare for simultaneous deployment in 10 seconds. John gripped his controls. "Remember your training, but don't fly in standard patterns. The more random our movements, the better. These aliens can't handle unpredictability." The countdown reached 0, and 1,000 fighters launched at once. They poured out of the Valiant's hangars like angry bees from a dozen hives. The sight was overwhelming. Even the human pilots had never seen anything like it. The alien ships immediately tried to adjust their formation to deal with this new threat, but their rigid programming worked against them. They couldn't track hundreds of small, fast-moving targets that refused to follow logical flight patterns. "Squadron 3, with me," John called out as he led his group toward the nearest alien vessel. "Squadron 5 and 7, take the one on the right. Everyone else, pick your targets and keep them confused." The fighters swarmed around the alien ships, attacking from every angle. Some pilots flew complex spiral patterns. Others dove straight in, fired, and pulled away at the last second. Each pilot added their own style to the attack, creating a chaotic dance that the aliens couldn't predict. "Their shields are dropping," Susan reported from the Valiant. "They can't maintain full coverage against so many random attack vectors." John watched as his squadron's shots began hitting the alien ship's hull directly. "All fighters, concentrate fire on their weapon systems. Let's take away their teeth." The battle space lit up with hundreds of small explosions as fighter after fighter landed hits. The alien ships tried to return fire, but their weapons were designed to track large vessels, not swarms of tiny fighters moving in unpredictable patterns. "This is amazing." Mary Rodriguez's voice came through from the bridge. "Their computers are trying to calculate targeting solutions, but there are too many variables. They can't adapt fast enough." John barrel-rolled his fighter around an enemy energy beam. "That's because they don't understand that humans are naturally chaotic. We don't need computers to tell us how to be unpredictable." One of the alien ships suddenly went dark, its main power failing under the relentless fighter assault. The second ship's weapons started firing randomly, a sign that its targeting systems had been completely overwhelmed. "Keep pushing," John encouraged his pilots. "We've got them on the run. Show them what happens when they pick a fight with humanity." As he watched the battle unfold around him, John realized they weren't just winning. They were teaching these aliens a lesson about human nature. Sometimes the best weapon wasn't the biggest ship or the most advanced technology. Sometimes it was simply the human ability to embrace chaos and turn it into an advantage. Security Chief Peter Williams ran through the Valiant's corridors, his heart pounding. The ship's fighters were winning the battle outside, but something was very wrong inside the supercarrier. Ship sensors had detected unauthorized access to critical systems, and the energy readings made no sense. "Chief Williams, power fluctuations in Section 15. Linda Turner's voice came through his comm unit. The systems officer sounded worried. "Something's interfering with the reactor cooling systems." Peter changed direction, heading for the nearest maintenance shaft. "On my way." "Have you found the source?" "That's the strange part," Linda replied. "The computer shows technician Paul Adams accessing the controls, but I just saw Paul on the bridge 2 minutes ago." "Seal off that section," Peter ordered. He pulled himself into the maintenance shaft, taking the quickest route to the reactor area. "Nobody in or out until I get there." When Peter arrived at Section 15, he found the security doors already locked. Through the reinforced window, he could see someone in a technician's uniform working at a control panel. The person looked exactly like Paul Adams. "This is Chief Williams," Peter called out through the intercom. Step away from the controls." The figure turned, and Peter's blood ran cold. The face was Paul's, but the eyes were wrong. They had a strange, metallic gleam. As Peter watched, the figure's whole body seemed to shimmer. "Security team to Section 15, now," Peter shouted into his comm. "Captain, we have a shapeshifter on board." The creature that looked like Paul smiled, its face rippling like liquid metal. Its hands moved faster over the control panel, and warning alarms started blaring throughout the ship. Reactor temperature rising. Linda's voice came through the ship-wide comm. "Cooling systems are failing. We have 5 minutes before critical failure." Peter tried his override codes on the security door, but nothing worked. The shapeshifter had locked down the system. Through the window, he could see the creature's body changing, becoming taller and more alien. "This is Officer Turner." Linda's voice came again, calm despite the crisis. "I'm rerouting coolant from the weapons systems. It's not designed for this, but it might buy us time." The shapeshifter turned back to the controls, trying to block Linda's attempts to save the reactor. But it hadn't counted on human backup systems and quick thinking. "Keep it distracted," Linda said to Peter. "I've almost got it." Peter banged on the window. "Hey, your ships are losing outside. This sabotage won't save them." The creature turned, its face now a twisted mixture of human and alien features. It reached for a different control panel, but at that moment, Linda's plan worked. Emergency coolant flooded through the weapons pipes into the reactor system. "Temperature dropping," Linda announced. "Reactor stabilizing." The security team arrived, carrying special equipment. They used a plasma cutter to force the door, but by then, the shapeshifter had changed again. It became like liquid metal, trying to escape through a ventilation duct. "Seal all vents," Peter ordered. "Val, can you track it?" The ship's AI responded immediately. "Affirmative. The intruder's unique energy signature is now logged. It cannot hide from my sensors." They cornered the shapeshifter in a storage bay. With nowhere left to run, it revealed its true form, a being of living metal, sent by the aliens to destroy the Valiant from within. "Now we know why they were so confident in attacking us," Peter said as his team contained the creature in a magnetic field. "They thought their spy would cripple us from the inside." Linda's voice came through his comm again. "The reactor's fully stable now. But Chief, this means something worse. If they had a shapeshifter on board, then they'd been watching us for a while," Peter finished, "and they might have more surprises planned." The captured shapeshifter stood silently in its magnetic prison, its metallic body reflecting the emergency lights. The battle wasn't over yet, and now the crew had to wonder, were there more infiltrators hiding among them? Captain Lisa Morrison stared at the tactical display with growing concern. 5 more alien ships had just appeared out of fold space, joining the 2 damaged vessels they had been fighting. The Valiant was now surrounded by 7 enemy ships. "Status report," she called out, keeping her voice steady for the crew's sake. "Shields at 60%. Susan Martinez reported from Tactical. Fighter squadrons are returning to reload weapons, but we lost 12 ships in the last battle." Richard Davis spoke up from navigation. "Captain, they're positioning themselves to block all escape routes. Standard fold space jump won't work. They'll follow us anywhere we go." Lisa watched the alien ships move into position. They had learned from their earlier mistakes, spreading out in a pattern that prevented the Valiant from using its spinning trick again. The human supercarrier was trapped. What about the fold space drive modifications engineering was working on? Lisa asked. Richard's eyes lit up. "The experimental protocols. They're untested, Captain. Kevin said the math works, but no one's ever tried it. No time like the present." Lisa opened a channel to engineering. "Kevin, is the new fold space system ready?" Chief Engineer Kevin Wright's voice came back tired but determined. "Ready as it'll ever be, Captain. But I should warn you, what you're thinking is incredibly dangerous. More dangerous than 7 alien ships about to blow us up." Lisa asked. "Fair point." Kevin paused. The new calculations are loaded. But Captain, if we do this wrong, we could tear the ship apart. Lisa looked around her bridge. Every crew member watched her, waiting for her decision. They had fought too hard to give up now. All hands, this is the captain, she announced ship-wide. We're about to try something that's never been done before. I need every department working together perfectly. She turned to Richard. Plot a fold space jump right through the center of their formation. Not around them, through them. Richard's hands shook slightly as he input the coordinates. Course plotted. But Captain, jumping through their ships, will create a massive space-time distortion. Kevin's voice finished. The fold space bubble will interact with their shields. Either it rips them apart, or it rips us apart. The alien ships began charging their weapons. They had learned from the previous battle, and were timing their attacks to hit all at once. All crew, brace for possible fold space distortion. Lisa ordered. Engineering. Divert all power to the drive and structural integrity. Weapons, stand by to fire everything. We have the moment we come out of the jump. The Valiant's massive engines hummed as power built up for the jump. On the tactical display, the alien ship's weapon charges reached critical levels. They're about to fire, Susan warned. Now, Richard, Lisa ordered. Punch it. Richard activated the fold space drive. The Valiant's experimental engines screamed as they tore a hole in reality itself. But instead of jumping around the alien ships, the massive supercarrier aimed straight for them. Space itself seemed to bend and twist. The fold space bubble that normally carried ships safely through dimensional space now crashed into the alien vessel's shields. The interaction created a cascade of energy that lit up the battlefield like a newborn star. Warning alarms blared throughout the Valiant as the ship shuddered violently. Crew members held onto their stations as reality warped around them. The ship's structure groaned under forces it was never designed to handle. Hull integrity failing, Kevin shouted over the noise. We've got to complete the jump now, or we'll break apart. Lisa gripped her chair tightly. Hold together, she whispered, both to her ship and her crew. Just hold together for a few more seconds. The Valiant pushed forward, its fold space bubble distorting and destroying everything in its path. They were either about to make history or become part of it. In these few moments, the fate of the ship, its crew, and humanity's first space battle hung in the balance. The Valiant burst back into normal space, its hull glowing red from the incredible forces it had just endured. First Officer Carol Thompson quickly checked all stations as emergency alerts continued to sound throughout the massive ship. Damage report, she called out, her voice steady despite the chaos. Hull breaches on decks 5 through 8, Kevin replied from engineering. Automated repair systems are responding. Shields down to 20%, but holding. Carol looked at the main viewport and allowed herself a small smile. The experimental fold space jump had worked better than anyone could have hoped. 3 of the alien ships were completely destroyed, torn apart by the space-time distortion. 2 more drifted powerless, their systems overloaded by the energy cascade. The remaining 2 ships showed heavy damage. All weapons, target those last 2 ships, Carol ordered. Don't let them escape to warn others. The Valiant's remaining functional weapons opened fire. The alien vessels, their shields already weakened by the fold space disruption, couldn't withstand the barrage. One exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The other tried to turn away but took a direct hit to its engines. Captain Morrison, Carol called out, suddenly realizing she hadn't heard from her commander. Still here, Lisa responded, pulling herself up from where she had fallen during the jump. Good work, everyone. Special thanks to engineering for making that crazy jump possible. Ma'am, Mary Rodriguez called from communications. We're picking up a signal from the last alien ship. They're surrendering. The bridge crew fell silent. This was more than just winning a battle. This was humanity's first victory against an advanced alien species. The Valiant, despite being damaged and exhausted, had accomplished something extraordinary. "Open a channel," Lisa ordered, straightening her uniform. "This is Captain Lisa Morrison of the U.S. Valiant. We accept your surrender." The alien response came through in translated text. "We are the Nexus Collective. We have existed for 10,000 years. Never have we encountered a species that could defeat our battle formations. How did you do this?" Lisa looked around at her crew. Humans who had faced impossible odds and won through creativity, determination, and teamwork. "We did it by being human," she replied simply. "By thinking in ways your computers couldn't predict. By trying things that shouldn't work but did." The cleanup operation began immediately. Fighter squadrons launched to secure the area while engineering teams assessed the damage. The captured shapeshifter from earlier was secured in the brig, along with the surrender of the final alien vessel, providing Earth with valuable intelligence about this new species. Linda Turner worked with damage control teams, finding creative ways to repair systems that had never been stressed like this before. John Baker led his remaining fighters in a careful search pattern, making sure there were no more surprises waiting for them. "Message from Earth Command," Mary announced several hours later. "They're calling the Valiant home. We're to bring our guests with us." Lisa nodded, feeling the weight of what they had accomplished. "Send word to all hands. We're going home, and we're bringing proof that humanity can hold its own among the stars." As the Valiant prepared for its return journey, the crew knew they had changed the course of human history. They had faced an advanced alien force, and won not through superior technology, but through the very things that made them human: adaptability, creativity, and the unwavering will to survive. The massive supercarrier turned toward Earth, its battle scars a testament to humanity's first space victory. They had done more than win a battle. They had shown the galaxy that humans were a force to be reckoned with. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, other alien civilizations would soon hear about the species that had defeated the mighty Nexus Collective using nothing more than human ingenuity and determination.